Hello everyone and welcome back to Meeple Leaf Reviews. My name is Jeffrey.
And I'm Jacob.
And we're doing something a little bit different today.
We are?
We are. We're not going to be reviewing T.I.M.E stories right now in this video, but we will be doing a review that'll come out a little later on. But we kind of just wanted to tackle one aspect about this game, and that's the question, is it replayable or not?
Right.
Because also I should mention we're not going to be spoiling anything in this video.
Right.
In the review, we're going to be doing full spoilers of everything that we've seen in the game.
It'll be a half and half. We'll spend the first little bit of that video doing non-spoilers and then spoilers afterwards.
Yeah. So jumping into, is this game replayable?
Right.
Now, each kind of expansion that comes out with this game gives you a different scenario. You play through that in multiple runs,
right,
until you beat the game. But then what we're talking about is once you've beaten a scenario, can you replay it?
Right. And
the answer is yes. We can cut.
No. So a caveat here is I have played Prophecy of Dragon twice now. So we played through the game, we beat it, then we sat down and we beat that one in 2 runs, and we were like, I don't feel like we really found out enough about the story, enough about that campaign. So we decided, let's play through the whole thing a second time.
Yeah. And then we played 3 runs and we couldn't even get to the...
Yeah, we couldn't even beat it in 3 runs, and we were just like...
How did we win the first time?
How did we just got really lucky the first time. But then, Jeffrey, you have also sat down with another group that had never played T.I.M.E stories before.
And I replayed the starting scenario Asylum.
Right.
In addition to the Prophecy of Dragons that we replayed with a group that had already played it before. Now, there is I want to make a distinction between, is it replayable?
Right.
Now, yes, you can replay the game.
Yeah.
There is nothing in the components or anything like that. Like if you think like Pandemic Legacy, where you're opening things and putting stickers on the board and ripping up cards and doing all that, you can't really replay Pandemic Legacy over again once you've played it.
Exactly.
Unless you spend a lot of time, trying to fix it in tape and glue and all that stuff.
No, you can't.
So with this game, there's nothing that is broken or changed or destroyed, so you can physically replay the game.
It's just puzzles and you already know the answers.
Right. So now to the point of, is it still fun playing it over once you've already solved it?
Right.
And speaking to playing it with a new group of people, it was a different experience.
Okay.
The first time I played T.I.M.E stories, I mean, there's a lot of tenseness. You're like, what's going on? What's the elements of the story I'm missing? There's a lot more like every time you spent a time unit, you were just like, oh man, like we gotta be more efficient. Like we gotta stop looking in all the wrong places. We gotta get this going. Yeah. So there's that tenseness, especially for your first playthrough. Now with the new group, I kind of knew the different elements of the story. There were still some things that I learned with the new group.
Right, because they took a different route, I should say.
Yeah, so it's kind of more of the enjoyment of seeing the decisions that they make and kind of, you know the end of the joke.
Right.
And you're watching them go through it. So it was definitely enjoyable playing it with people who hadn't played before.
Right.
Because you get to see their experience going through. You don't take the lead on the decisions unless it's something that you haven't seen before. And I will say there's so much in these worlds that you're probably not going to remember everything.
Right.
And you're probably not going to see everything in the first time you run through.
Yeah, because you're not moving around as a collective group looking at every single card every time. So in a new run, you could just go, even though you know the areas, you maybe know what every card says, you haven't specifically looked at that card yourself. You just remember what other people told you about it. So you can still read that fine print and maybe catch a bit of story or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely found it enjoyable playing with people who hadn't played. I am planning with that group to play through the other 2 scenarios.
Right.
We played through the first one, and now I'm going to play through the other 2 again with this other group.
Right. My question to you is, if you had another group, would you play through Asylum again a third time with a third different group that had never played through? Would you want to do that, or would you just want to sit back and supervise maybe and just see the experience?
I think that's kind of where I think the line gets drawn for me.
Right.
I probably wouldn't want to play through it a third time. Because like each time you play through it, you're running through it like 3 times.
Yeah.
So I ran through the first scenario 3 times with our group, 3 times with the other group. So I kind of seen everything now.
Close to everything, yeah.
And I don't really see what the point would be of doing it again with yet another group. There wouldn't really be that much in for me other than their reaction. So it might just be better to have that set up on the table, have them playing, you playing on another table, while you kind of just answer rules questions or something.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So going into playing the same scenario twice with the same group, I would say, like, we played through a lot quicker. Mm-hmm. We started getting to the point where, okay, we know what this location is. We're not even going to set out the cards for that location because we just know what we're going to do at that location when we get there. We don't need to read the cards or anything. We know what items we're going to get. So it's just like, okay, we'll go here. Don't bother searching for the cards. We'll just grab this item.
Yeah. And
it was almost like we just wanted to play through and beat the game rather than
explore.
Experience the story a second time. So maybe is that partly falling on us as we should have role played it a little bit more? I think our first run when we restarted, we role played a little bit. I was like into my character a little bit and saying some smart remarks here and there and kind of playing up my character. But the second run through of the second time playing the scenario, it was more just, okay, we died last time because we did this wrong. Let's do this strategy and let's be as efficient as possible to try and get through.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna say with doing it with the same group the second time, you lose that tenseness.
Yeah.
It becomes more of a game because you know a lot of what's happening, so you're just like, okay, let's just get through it. You lose that tenseness and that sense of discovery. However, I will say, after the first run of Prophecy of Dragons, I was like, oh, okay, there's some story here. I was like, I didn't really feel like there was as much going on as there was in the Marcy case and Asylum. But going through it, those other runs, I was like, man, there's so much that's going on in this first location here. So I definitely still learned a lot more, found out some new, cool, interesting things about the game. So I think it was still enjoyable, though not as enjoyable as playing it with a new group.
Right.
And I don't really feel like you could do that, replay the same scenario with the same group with the other scenarios, other than Prophecy of Dragons.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever want to play through any of the scenarios ever again a second time with the same group. I just can't ever see myself wanting to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Replaying the scenarios with the same group isn't going to give you the same level of enjoyment, whereas I do see playing it with an all new group and you're the only one who doesn't, who has played it before, would be fine. So I'm going to come down on the side of, yes, this game is replayable. It's not infinitely so, probably only once more, but you would need to do it with a new group.
And I would say it's not replayable. I would be willing to oversee someone else. I think I would get enjoyment out of watching someone else play through, like a family member or something like that. But I wouldn't want to play through myself again.
All right. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, keep an eye out for our full review of Time Stories. Mm-hmm. Also, we have done a audio review in our podcast. So go to iTunes, search Meeple Leaf Reviews. Mm-hmm. Episode 1, we did a full in-depth review of Time Stories with no spoilers.
Right, correct. Also follow us on Twitter at Meeple Leaf. And in the description down below, you can click on a link to go to... Mess things up here. You can click on a link to go to boardgamelinks.com. Give us some hearts and help us jump up the rankings there.
And it also might help us learn how to speak correctly.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.